Hey guys, and welcome back to Link's Awakening DX. We now have 4 instruments of the sirens, and we're on our way to get the 5th. Take it away, Maxo.
Not only do we have the 4 instruments, but we just got our color tunic. I opted, of course, for Hellfire Red as opposed to Brain Scratch Blue.
I think I had to cut that out at the end of part 6, so, well, there's your joke, I guess.
Well good, there we go. Also, because frickin' Red, canonically, in the perfect of all Zelda games, A Link to the Past, is better than Blue. So let's always keep A Link to the Past canon, at all times, no matter what we do in Zelda.
Well, I think you may have also said that last time, but, you know, at the time of, like, you guys watching this, it will have been, like, a few days since the last part, so it's forgivable. And it's also been, like, a week or 2 since we, like, recorded a part of commentary. Is this Dr. Wright?
Yes. Yes, written a number of different ways, and there's our Peach cameo.
Huh?
Yeah, the best thing about this part is that if you look up guides, they always try to, like, make this seem like such an ancient thing. They're like, oh, the picture of Peach is a reference for you youngins who don't know about pen pals. It's like, people do this shit today. It's called catfishing, I think, where you say, lol, I am a hot 18-year-old girl in Mississippi, and you're actually, like, a 40-year-old fat dude. Alright? It happens. That's not a foreign thing.
Mississippi? Is that like Minnesota meets Mississippi?
It's like double redneck. You have no idea.
Also, I like how you were kind of threatening Dr. Wright back there. I know it's just like a quirk of Link's Awakening, where you basically have your sword out where you're talking to someone, but not very hero-like behavior.
Yeah, there are a lot of bleed-over frames. It has nothing to do with the recording. Like, this happens in any version you play of the game where if you talk and pull sword, or you do a jump and pull sword, the sword stays out for extra frames.
Yahoo!
Yeah, that's actually changed. Another remnant of this game being really fucking old. And by really old, I mean, what, like 93, 98 re-release? But in the VC re-release for 3DS, they changed Yahoo to, I think, just generic Yippee, because back then Yahoo.com didn't exist, and let's be honest, it kinda doesn't really exist now.
I was gonna say, did they change it to Google or something, or Bing?
Google!
I can't believe Spider-Man uses Bing in that fucking movie.
Well, that's because that movie is shit.
Well, I was gonna say it's like sponsored, but that works as well. I guess I haven't watched it. I haven't watched Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2. I prefer the Raimi movies.
And yes, you guys are finally seeing it. A Link's Awakening playthrough where you don't steal the bow and arrow. I legitimately raised the fucking rupees for that bad boy.
Oh, Mexi, you're letting us all down. Will we ever see the rise of Thief?
No. That is a terrible joke, and it gets old after the second time someone says it.
Aww.
It's a bad joke, dude. Admit it.
So where are we off to now, Mexi?
We gotta do more side plot gathering things. I don't even know. We gotta get more seashells, because the ghost buddy that we lay to rest did remind us that there's something in his house, so now that he's gone and dead, we can totally ransack everything he owns, with no consequences.
Well, hopefully another ghost won't pop out and, like, take his place. That'd be a bit crazy.
It's like, by stealing from him, we've angered his spirit that we just laid to rest. It's like, I was only kidding. No, you weren't.
Surprise, bitch.
And I think that brings us up to 19. We're actually reaching the end of these seashells. They start to group them a lot. Like, we kind of had a dry spell there in the middle, but now we're actually going to be finishing them off really quickly in the next 3 parts.
And we get our level 2 sword doing it that way?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. In order to get the level 2 sword, or what's, as it's known in this game as the secret prize, because they don't want to spoil it just yet, you only need to get 20 out of 26. So, I could very easily just get the 20th that I'm going for right now, and then get the level 2 sword and be done with it.
Okay.
However, what happens is, if you get the 20 and exchange them, the remaining 6 get turned into rupees, or they just vanish completely. Now, that's okay if you want to go off of, the standard definition for percentages in Link's Awakening is collecting everything on the pause screen.
Right.
Now, in the upper right corner, you have a seashell counter, and if you exchange your seashells, that counter goes away, and instead it's replaced by the level 2 sword. So, the logic behind it is that if you have the level 2 sword, then you've completed the seashells, because now there's no longer a counter. If the counter remained, then yeah, you would have to get the sword plus all 26. But I might as well show off where all the seashells are. You rarely even see all 26. But just let it be known that if you wanted to get like true 100% in Link's Awakening, you only have to get 20.
Well, you know, this is a 100% run, so we may as well do 100% of the game. Also, may I just say, I love doing commentaries of you, because when it comes to editing, there's such like a long, like, period where you're talking. I don't have to do anything but listen. Don't have to adjust any levels, don't have to, you know, clip bits out, it's all good.
I like how you say it as if, oh, all I have to do is not edit, when instead the laziness extends to, I also know how to talk.
Well, you know, it's funny, I got into Super Gaming Bros recently, SGB, with Johnny, Elliot, and Matt, and I was watching Crash 3, and Johnny, he gets fucking pissed in that LP, and mostly at Elliot not talking.
And there you see the difference in the two of us. Also, I came first.
Oh, it's a big one!
It's a necklace. Woo. How much does this guy suck that he can't pull up a necklace in the water?
The fisherman looked so disappointed there. It's like, oh shit, I can't feed my family with a necklace. Also, where are you going with that necklace? I'm the one who fished it out.
Mine now, bitch. Well, it's mine because I gave him the hook, and that was the barter. Also, it's actually one of the only blatant forms of censorship in this game. In the Japanese version, the necklace is actually the mermaid's bikini top. And that's why you only see her from the head up. So instead, they kind of calmed it a bit down and instead she's missing just her necklace. But regardless, you still exchange it by ripping a scale off of her tail while she keeps her head above the water.
If this was like actual myths and whatnot, that mermaid would drag you to the depths of the ocean. But it's a good job you have infinite breath when you go underwater, I guess.
I believe he has infinite breath, but he does surface eventually, so it's sort of a half and half. Like right there, if you're in a side-scroller part, yeah, you have infinite breath. And I'm going back here because we still have that photographer side quest. Just gonna get it all done.
I help him drowning.
That sprite is so good, because it actually looks fucking painful. Just imagine, he has a hook in his mouth, ripping and yanking him upwards.
Oh, alright, I see what's happening though.
Yeah, Link's Awakening, not as happy and go-lucky as you think. I'm gonna get that point thoroughly across that Link's Awakening is fucking creepy.
That guy didn't look like a Zelda design at all.
They don't. And if you look at some of the official art, there's like 2 sets of official art for this game. There's this super cutesy, cartoony one where Link sometimes has little floaty hearts above his head when he finds shells. And then there's this hyper-realistic one where Link has a billion wrinkles on his face, and it's terrifying.
Will you be showing off the full album during the course of this playthrough?
Probably, once I get them all. Because you can look at them all, but you can also just pull it up on your menu to say, hey, here are all your photos. Alright, that's enough of that.
Well, if you don't want to go out of your way, you could always make it bonus content, I guess. But Dungeon 5, the Catfish is more. Any special things we should be looking out for here?
This dungeon is weird. I'm gonna go with that. This dungeon is fucking weird. It's also the first time that dungeons start to get a bit interesting in this game, because the first 4 have been very blatantly straightforward, you know, just go to the end and beat it. They only get interesting once you throw tricks in, but this dungeon throws the entire structure of Zelda out the fucking window, and I love it. But because they did do that, they also didn't really program this dungeon too tightly, so shenanigans are abound.
I remember having a lot of trouble, like, in the platforming parts here when I was a wee nipper.
Well, it's physics. I mean, what kind of wee nipper can actually get physics down properly?
Well, that being said, I didn't really have a lot of trouble with the barrel in Sonic 3 and Carnival Night Zone.
Oh, you didn't? Well, good for you.
Oh, I must be trying to lord it over other people. It's just not possible that I didn't have problems with one section that a lot of other people did.
Well, here's the mini-boss already, Master Stalfos. Now, he is susceptible to bombs, which goes back to A Link to the Past, where you had to beat some Stalfos in Ice Palace by slashing them and letting them crumble, and then blowing them up with bombs.
Did I just see the infamous bomb arrow glitch?
Yes, I will be using that, because you're not supposed to kill him. We were supposed to get our dungeon item here, but, he stole it. And I like how he signs it Master Stalfos. I know that's his name, but whenever I see that, it just reminds me of Master Shake. So then I imagine Master Stalfos having Master Shake's voice for this whole dungeon.
Oh jeez. Like the only thing that I know about like Aqua Teen and Hunger Force really is like Han, Banana, and Carl.
That's all needs to be said. But yeah, here's the weird part about this dungeon. It's a reoccurring single mini-boss, and you have to beat him about 4 times. The hint is the boxes in the room. You know, the previous one had 1, this has 2, and it'll continue on to 4. Now, like I said, you're not supposed to kill him. The time it takes for a bomb to blow up, that's essentially supposed to be the cooldown time for him to assemble and say later, I'm out of here, and you gotta chase him down again. But that's pretty much the most important part about bomb arrows. I know a lot of people like the part that it's essentially a flying bomb, but the most helpful thing about bomb arrows is that it's instant detonation. It blows up on impact. So that eliminates Master Stalfos' cooldown time, so you can continuously hit him with those bomb arrows that do actual damage, enough so that he dies when he's not supposed to. And when he dies, he drops keys. Keys that you're not supposed to get. Keys that I will be using to skip half the dungeon.
You're a fucking genius, Maxie. This is actually really cool. Also, I like the idea of having a recurring mini-boss. Are there any other Zelda games that kind of use this sort of trope?
I know there are. There are definitely, but I'm trying to think. Most of the time, whenever it's reoccurring, it tends to be a reoccurring type.
Yeah.
Like, you have the tentacles in Jabu Jabu, you're not finding the same one over and over. Well, you could be, but they give the appearance that they're different ones. But this one, it's one guy, and I am skipping the text by instantly slashing him, but he does talk. And he's actually kind of scared every time you hunt him down, but I like to imagine Link is getting pretty ruthless / getting sick and tired of all the bullshit on this island, that he's like, let's just get this over with. Bomb arrows to the face.
He's being like dicked around by both the windfish and the owl. He doesn't really know what to believe.
And it's like, at this point, it's like, really? And I'm gonna have to fight a mini-boss 4 times? Fuck this shit, we're done. This one I kept because this is the final showdown. Like, this is where he's like, we're gonna do this. Alright? Dead. Fuck you.
I had a strat all planned out, and he went and pissed it away by using an exploit that you're not even supposed to know about.
Yeah, but oh well. The hilarious thing too is that his final round takes less hits. Obviously because this is supposed to be the one where you finally kill him, so I guess this was supposed to be his actual health. And the other 3 instances, since they're supposed to be unkillable, they gave him more health to be like, okay, if we give him this much health, there's no way that the player can end up killing him. Bomb arrows.
Yeah, the distance that you need the hookshot to cross, and the hookshot obviously I believe originated in A Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past, and then this is our first time handheld, and it's one of the few times we'll actually see it handheld. I like its design here because it's a fucking ninja star.
That was pretty cool, like, used it in midair, but the point I was trying to make was, I always felt the distance, like, that you needed the hookshot for more in the 2D games, as opposed to the 3D ones. Like, that little, 4-panel chasm just seemed massive when there's a treasure chest that you can actively see on the other side.
The other weird thing too is that with the hookshot, there are obviously distances that it and only it can cover, but especially in like the Oracle and Link's Awakening, the distances aren't actually all that big and can easily be crossed by the feather or feather speed boost combinations. Because those are actually set by like a tile.
Oh, I hated these guys.
I had to include these. 1, because they're spiders, and I just wanted to get the ecstasy of hearing Tom's skin crawl.
Oh.
2, this is also what adds to the weirdness of this fucking dungeon. Not only do we have a single reoccurring mini-boss that we're not supposed to kill, but we have an additional mini-boss that's actually optional. You don't have to fight this guy. The only reason to fight these 2 Gomas is that they're what actually spawns the halfway teleport in the dungeon. Master Stalfos didn't give you one of those. All he did was give you the hookshot. So if you actually have trouble with the boss of this dungeon, which I will allow because it is a hard as balls boss, then you may want to take on the optional boss. That can only be damaged by getting the bow and arrow.
And of course you're not going to know, like... wait, can you not use bombs to destroy the Gomas?
You might, but once... I only use arrows because that's the way you were supposed to kill Gomas in Zelda 1. Maybe you can use bombs, maybe you can use bomb arrows because they're the greatest items of all time, but just Use arrows.
Anyway, what I was going to say was, and you're not going to know, like, what's optional and what's not when you first get in here, like, on your first run of the dungeon. So, you come across an enemy, the door's shut, there's a goon, but you're like, shit, son, I'm just going to take these things down.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that as an optional boss, the door doesn't close behind you, so if you can't handle it or you don't have an item to damage them, just leave. Do a strategic withdraw.
Alright, boss time, let's go.
This is another area that you can actually clear by using the boots and feather. It's all about essentially delaying the jump enough that you're technically jumping off of the pit, like you're already off land, and then you're trying to kind of claw your way back onto land. There's a lot of areas like that. Not that many in this, but I know in Oracle of Seasons, there are a shit ton of gaps that you can clear with just the basic feather.
Matt, the Oracle games are like Link's Awakening on crack, because they use the base formula and just like add so many bits and pieces in that I honestly find it kind of overwhelming. But I'm definitely going to like try and go back and play the games before we do playthroughs or LPs of them. Cause I never really gave it a fair shot. Like I've said many a time with ages that I used the game shark code or whatever and got up to Varan and couldn't beat it because I didn't have the hook shot.
Ooh. But you really should, especially since I'm giving Link's Awakening its fair shot for this playthrough, because I started the Oracle games first, and every time I looked at Link's Awakening, it's like, oh, it's like the Oracle games, but with really fucking ugly text. So now I'm giving it its fair shot, and this dungeon, it's really weird that for being its water dungeon-ish, even though this game has multiple water dungeons, as it should, since it takes place on an island, it has a lot of shit from A Link to the Past ice dungeon. Like that block puzzle with the 4 corners, that's from Ice Palace, and that's actually the staircase that the optional Goma boss will lead you to. So once again, lots of ways to get to the boss, which I like. I like when dungeons will give you multiple options. But, boss time, and it is probably the hardest boss in the game.
Oh, this guy. I remember this guy.
Slime Eel. Now, Slime Eel's weird in that he's actually one of the few bosses that if you have the Piece of Power, the Red Tunic, or the level 2 sword, he's actually harder. Because you have to use your hook shot when his mouth peeks out, you need to pull him towards you, and then you need to slash his heart bit. But the thing is that any attack power boost actually causes that recoil, and will actually shift him away from your sword, so you have to move a little bit more, and that actually takes up time away from when you could be slashing him. So yeah, it's sort of a little contradiction there that the plus power item will make this boss, who's already hard, harder.
Do you think that was intentional, or do you just think the sword was glitching, basically?
They didn't consider it. That's what I honestly think. But this is the reason why you kind of don't want power boosts for this boss if you want to make him even easier. Also, he's pure gamble. Like, even if you're chilling out on the right, don't be like, oh, he's appearing on the left a whole bunch, I should move over there. It's like, no, just wait your turn and he'll pop up randomly at any point.
I'm noticing the bosses are, like, starting to taunt us and whatnot. We keep an eye on their speeches as we go through the game.
Wind Marimba's got a good melody. I like it.
It's all about the full moon cello for me, honestly. Okay guys, we shall see you next time in part 8 of the playthrough for a bit more Zelda goodness. See you then.